All right, first time trying this. So FSD 14.3. Previous versions would never back out the garage, would say it was dirty. You tap this, at least now it knows. You can see my driveway curves over here, so the car should begin turning to the left. It doesn't. So yesterday it got caught up here. Let's see how it's doing today. Come on, keep going. They can't figure this piece out, so I'll take over. I'll take over. That's one thing. So FSD cannot correctly back out of a garage that has a curve to it. So something to figure out, but cut the wheel, no big deal. Get out. So one thing I do like about FSD now, it's super responsive as far as continued drive. Sometimes you get the autopilot errors. I haven't seen that yet. Sorry for the visuals. Not an official YouTuber, so I'm using my phone. I don't have any fancy setups. Just got a suction mount. Yeah, hopefully you guys can actually see what I'm viewing. I'm assuming that not really. But if you can see the screen, I think that will hopefully give you a sense as to what's going on. The little camera and audio indicators have moved from the top left. They moved to the top right now. Haven't really seen anyone else talk about that. So if you're kind of wondering where some of the icons are, of course, the autopilot blue steering wheel is gone. I'm sure you've heard of that already, but nothing wrong to reiterate. So yeah, my commute into work is about 50 minutes, give or take. We'll be heading down a local state highway, and then we'll jump on the interstate highway for most of the way. So it is in standard mode right now. Traffic is pretty heavy. At least heavy for this location. It's not really heavy to some other locations that exist. A good little YouTuberverse. So speed limit 50, you'll see that standard will speed. Back it down one scroll to chill. It'll back down to about 2 to 3 miles an hour over. You put the sloth mode and it pretty much respects the speed limit. So what I found so far is that sloth is the speed limit. If you go up to chill mode, which I just scrolled to, it'll do approximately 2 to 3 miles over the limit. You put the standard, it seems to go about 10, 11. Well, it's meeting the speed limit right now. So the speed limit changed from 50 to 65. Yeah, so I found the standard would typically go about 5 over, 5 to 7. Put it to hurry mode. It's kind of really hard to see with traffic right now, and I'll re-show that on the highway. But I found, anyways, I'll just talk about it. I found that sloth does the speed limit. Chill does about 2 to 3 miles an hour over. Standard does about 5 to 7 over. Hurry does about 10 to 13 over. And I'd say that Mad Max does about 15 to 20 over the speed limit. It does it safely, but it definitely speeds. I'm not going to be able to capture that right now on this state highway, but when I get on the interstate, you have a better sense of how it's driving. But I'm gonna back down to standard again. If they could figure out how to have it back out of my garage, that'd be so dope. Yesterday it pulled to my garage. Unfortunately, I didn't have that video recorded, but it had never driven into my driveway before, so that was a plus for me. And I was thinking it would go in my garage, but it didn't make the full pull in. But still cool nonetheless. Hopefully these quiet segments, I'll play with the video and see if I could fast forward past this like some of the other YouTubers and whatnot, give you some content. But it's a smooth drive. There's very little driving that I do these days. I love FSD, man. It is absolutely game-changing software for me. I'm gonna look down at the screen right now and see how long it gives me a nag. So I'm still looking at the screen, pay attention to the road. So it seems to be a little bit longer. What I have found though is that when you're actively like engaging with the screen and looking for something, it seems to me, it could be placebo. So it seems like it lasts longer, but then it's a smaller little section I probably don't just capture on my peripheral. I would love for that timeout to last for 15 to 30 seconds before it nags you. I think that's a decent, realistic amount of time to be peering away from your screen if you have to respond to a quick text message. Like, there's so many conventional ICE engine drivers that I see constantly driving their car that has no sort of full self-driving driver assistance package on it, and they're buried nose deep into their phone, and that seems to be acceptable to federal regulators. But you know, someone with full self-driving, quote-unquote supervised, can't peer away from their screen. It just seems like lobbyists are running the advancement of, you know, these driver assist packages. Because this thing handles it flawlessly to me, man. A typical commute, 65 to 70 miles an hour when I'm on this road. A little bit more congested than typical, but I'll take it. So if you're one of those Tesla drivers that do have full self-driving and you're turned off by the idea of no max speed limit anymore, I will say when you're dealing with any sort of speed limit changes, going between the profiles and the modes is so much quicker than scrolling down from a max speed of 85 to a now max speed of 45 miles an hour in a construction zone. Like, literally, you're having to scroll down furiously in previous iterations of full self-drive. Going from Mad Max to chill it's 3-4 clicks, man. So you're literally at Mad Max, hurry, standard, chill, sloth. So you can wipe off 15, 20 miles an hour of speed by scrolling down 3 times, whereas you're having to scroll down 15 times essentially to get there. And I get it, as you were scrolling fast, the numbers would peel off, but it still needed to register 15 clicks or adjustments on that scroll wheel. So I love it. I love the new modes more, man. It took me a day to get used to it, but it handles it fantastically for me. So I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but it's pretty windy outside. I will say the vehicle is at least handling the lane centering quite well. So around this stretch of road yesterday, I had some micro braking. I know some content creators call it brake stabbing. I think it's micro braking, but I haven't seen any micro braking so far. So Tesla does say that these cars train off of AI model, but they also seemingly mimic your driving profile behavior. I don't know exactly how that works for me, because I use full self-driving about 99% of the time I'm in this car, and I'll probably use it even less, as incredible as that may sound, as far as I use personal driving less than the 1% I gave it before. The fact that I could start it from the garage is dope. I hope that 14.2 figures it out a little bit better. I don't know if I have to get onto MapQuest or Mapbox, MapGenie, whatever they use to update these maps and like recalibrate my house in the mapping software, because it always would kind of act chaotic getting to my house in the afternoons coming home from work, or just any time I'm coming back to my house. It's car would on 13 FSD 13, it would try to turn into a neighbor's driveway and a adjacent street over. Kind of odd behavior. Sometimes it would just skip that house and drive to mine. Yesterday, FSD 14 did drive to myself, did pull into my driveway correctly, so that was a plus. So FSD 13 would always choose the left lane. I do like that it will maintain this right lane moving forward. And you'll see it's making a smart decision. The speed limit is 70, but it's obviously going 43 around the curve. That's good, safe driving behavior. I like that. On the highway, so like I said, standard mode typically goes 5 to 7 over. I'm gonna bump it up to hurry mode. Hurry mode doing 11 over, 12 over. And Mad Max will essentially end up either maintaining this or cap it out about 85. So if you're new to this channel, which I assume many of you will be viewing this video, I am in the Kansas City metro area. So this is Interstate 70 heading west. So yeah, 85 over. If the speed limit was 65, I would still be doing 85 in Mad Max. I'm going to back it back down to standard. I don't need all that excessive speed right now. There's occasional deer that I do see crossing this highway at times. So, during hours of darkness. Okay, let's see how this handles this. Car trying to merge over. So I let the car do what it needs to do. I let him come up to speed. He's trying to merge into my lane. Perhaps kind of a jerk move, but I just wanted to see how the car would react. So was waiting. Sorry, man. Was waiting for him to get over. But okay, speed limit 55. Oh. They actually captured that. So in the past, FSD would do a pretty bad job of capturing speed limit changes like that. This one at least was on the left side of the road. It seems like the majority of speed limits are on the right side of the road. I'm not sure if FSD has an issue seeing at distance like that. But that construction speed limit side on the left side of the road, it picked it up perfectly. That was really good. That was actually really good. If you're watching this and you're new to Teslas, you're new to FSD, you just happen to come across my channel, thanks for watching. That was really good. I want to see when it picks up to 70 again. It looks like we're outside the construction zone now. So it's ignoring the speed limit, but what it's doing is adhering to the flow of traffic. So it's not impeding traffic. So whether or not this would be tap speeding or safely adhering to the flow of traffic is more than likely how this would be ruled, if it quote unquote came to anything like that. But it's still clocking that construction zone speed limit of 55. But it's following the flow of traffic. It is not trying to ignorantly go 55. You see standard is moving along quite well. FSD 13, I pretty much remained on hurry. It seems like standard will be my primary way of navigating. So I didn't see any speed limit sign, but it did, of course, update to 70 again. So I'm going to tune it back up to hurry. Previous iterations, going to hurry mode would immediately, it would dive into the left lane. It doesn't do that anymore. It'll stay in the center travel lane and it'll pass when necessary. So that's a big improvement. If you do like using hurry mode, it will actually keep you in the center lane. FSD 13 and even those with hardware 3, FSD 12.6, I think .4, it would camp in the left lane with hardware 3 as well. So definitely an improvement here. I'll slide to Mad Max mode, see if it does the same. It does. So the car no longer camps out in the left lane with any of these faster modes. Still having hurry mode. I'm gonna let it do its thing. When I pass this truck, I am gonna back down to standard again, though. In standard mode, it's maintaining speed. I like to believe that the car knows that its current pace, it's going to pass this pickup truck, so it just decides that, hey, I'll stay here in this left lane and get past some of this congestion before going back to the right. I do appreciate this because I hate following trailers, so I'm glad that it didn't dive into that middle lane again. I don't know what it is about the design in the Model Y, but my previous vehicle I owned, I owned a BMW 4 Series from 2014 to 2024. Try to keep my cars for a decade, get my best use out of them, but that car had no rock chips on it at all. This Tesla, I've gotten at least 2 or 3 little chips in the past 10 months of ownership. So I don't know if it's the angle of the windshield, the aero or lack of. I would like to believe that these cars have decent aero, because you're going to need aero for a better range for your battery, but it's an odd thing. There's a lot of Tesla forums I do see of them complaining about chips to their windshield. Ultimately, this is a very boring drive, but I want you guys to at least see how it handles. You seemingly have a couple of content creators that are just smattered in specific regions of the world. I haven't seen anyone from the Midwest, so what's up, everyone? Welcome to Kansas City. Put the hurry and see if it goes around this car or it stays. Yeah. Standard's willing to stay behind. Safe distance. Hurry's a little bit more aggressive, of course, as you expect it to be. Mode, getting back into the center lane. Like it. Please let this damn phone still be recording. Once I get past all this madness up here, there's there's a merge point that I want you guys to see, and I want to see how the car handles it. So yesterday it handled it well. Previous iterations of FSD, it would take the merge until like the last second. I had to take over a lot more often at that section of road. So hurry 55, I'm doing 78, 75, so it's it'll creep above, 20 miles or above the speed limit as well. But we did just drop from 65 to 55, so give it somewhat the benefit of the doubt. So I get that highway driving for FSD could be sort of boring because this is arguably the bread and butter of full self-driving is end-to-end highway driving. I think it handles it extremely well. Pick up the 45. It's still trucking along. So movement here, historically people would still zip through here. I've never seen anyone go 45 until we hit this lighted area of this. So hopefully the car stays here in this left lane. So this lane ends and you have to merge right. The merge point's probably about a quarter mile ahead right now, but this lane will get congested. People from the right would get over, but the car is getting over a lot sooner. So that's good because there's been issues or at times where I've dove into these yellow caution lanes where FSD just it wouldn't merge until the last moment. I do like that. That is a fantastic fix. I've reported that area almost daily for the past year, or 10 months rather, since I own the vehicle. Every time I would drive to work and deal with that section, I would report, just an FSD capability and or a map data error. I didn't know how to flag it. That's one thing I would love the FSD team to do is give us an issue or list of commands, give us a list of commands that when we disengage FSD, if there's a legitimate issue, we can call out with specificity as to why we disengaged. Map data error, speed error, routing error, something like that. But right now it's just, I don't know if my disengagements and my reports have any impact. I can only assume that they do. But Tesla, if you ever get wind of this video, that would be huge. And if they already exist, apologies, but I've never seen any sort of list of commands that we can give to the vehicle when we disengage FSD. Car is speeding up. Hey. Fist bump to my Tesla bro over there. Lots of construction this part of the highway. Assuming they do a majority of their work overnight. But sometimes these cones are in this lane and we're blocked from traveling this lane, or blocked from the right. There's always something new to have the car figure out, which is fine. It seems like all lanes are going to be open this stretch of the highway today. which is definitely appreciated. You know, Kansas does a really good job, well, Missouri now, but they do a pretty piss poor job of highlighting which sections of the highway are going to be, you know, affected by construction work. You do see the occasional overhead signs, but they'll just tell you that the time and distance to the next, you know, major highway or a frequently traveled exit. There's no real driver updates as to, hey, from this exit marker to this exit marker, we're going to be down to one lane between these hours. It'd be amazing if Tesla somehow could tie into interstate systems and you could get alerts. You know, that would be fantastic. As you're driving, your Tesla notices that, hey, you know, Rodney's driving Interstate 70 east, and he's on the road at this time, and based upon his destination, he should hit that stretch. Let's push that notification to him. Maybe a bridge too far to cross, but with the advancement of AI and the Grok integration, I don't see why that can't be a possibility for us in the future with a software update. And even if you just allowed the damn thing to talk to you whenever it had an update, you didn't have to get a text message. Grok could come in, interrupt the music station, almost like an emergency broadcast. That would be fantastic. So I don't know if you can see it. So here's one of these digital signs. Like I said, it only shows an Interstate 470, 9 miles ahead, 9 minutes. So it's just letting you know, okay, traffic is free and clear. I've never seen those things report a crash, a lane closure, at all. Glad there's no debris on the road, but it would have been nice to see how it responded. So yesterday, I did run into some road debris. Car swerved around it. Wow, that's a dangerous stop for that car on the shoulder there. Jesus. I don't know if FSD saw that and got over, or if it just decided to get over to the left lane again. I was just camping, excuse me, the right lane. I was camping the left lane for a bit. But I don't know if the car had seen a vehicle stop on the shoulder and decided to pull over. But man, they gotta get rid of that. So what you're noticing now is that FSD will get into the left lane trying to pass this slower traffic, but it safely recognizes that people are not merging. I can't do that maneuver. So one thing that Hurry didn't necessarily do a lot in the past is pass on the right. I honestly don't prefer that. It's not a legal maneuver. You know, you're not supposed to pass people on the highway on the right, but people do it every day. So it, at times, it legally follows the rule of law and the rules of driving. At times, it follows the courtesy rules of law, which we as drivers would make up and say, hey, if I have two people, you know, traveling almost parallel in the passing in the travel lane, I'm going to go to the slow lane and zip around you guys and come back over to the passing and or travel lane and continue my travel. So the car is definitely a hell of a lot more assertive, seemingly, with this new FSD software. I can't recall FSD 13 ever doing that for me. So I am hoping that, you know, this truly is sentient, as Elon Musk had said that, you know, FSD 14.2 and 14.3 would feel like. Things are good. I mean, I'm sitting up. My feet aren't in the footwell. I'm ready to take over, of course, but I am comfortable. Driving a Tesla with full self-driving is the most comfortable experience you could have driving. I know the Hardware 3 owners are going to say, you know, well, not us. FSD 12 sucks. I've driven Hardware 3 cars. It wasn't as polished or refined as 13 and or now 14, but it's capable. You can definitely have a lesser stressful job with FSD on Hardware 3. You know, it's probably easy for me to say now because I don't have a Hardware 3 car. You know, but I'm missing a front bumper camera. You know, they put into the new Model Y, and I think the Model 3's been retrofitted to have that with new deliveries as well. But the cameras up here, I think there's 3 lenses up there. I'm not sure, but it seems like there's a wide lens, close, and standard zoom. But the car does what it needs it to do without that front bumper camera. I would assume that parking will probably be easier when it comes to hopefully being able to pull into my garage. That will be interesting because I do get a sensor sooner than where I park it, but I just can't physically pull into the garage like I'd want to, just because I don't have the I got a pillar on my left hand side that my door will hit unless I go up within about 8 inches. No ultrasonic sensors. That was such a lovely feature. So you Hardware 3 owners with ultrasonic sensors, that's a fantastic package to have. At least you know the distance. I would love to be able to know, hey, when I'm, you know, 8 inches away from the wall, I can stop. And unlike a gas car where, you know, if it's in drive, it's inching forward, this Tesla stops. So having to hit the juice pedal, that could be very responsive. It takes getting used to. I've never crashed into the wall, thank God. I don't have wood, but I'll knock on something. But it certainly is a concern that I have every day as I'm kind of inching my way forward. So the front camera would be amazing to have. That would show me that. If even with Tesla would allow these to hit the screen while, you know, parking, because the way that this is oriented, I'm pretty sure it has a decent view of my front bumper. It has to be. There's no other way it could drive the car without having a 360 sense of awareness. If I could see that front housing camera viewing down and look at my hood, I have a much better sense of spatial awareness when parking the car. So I gotta get to the far right lane in a half a mile. A little bit aggressive here. Nice F-150 Lightning next to me. Hello, fellow EV owner. So 1/10 of a mile before it gets in the far right lane. Not my preference in heavy traffic. I could see you missing an exit, but not too bad. That ends the interstate drive. I'm gonna cut the video here just because I know recording is not allowed where I work, so I don't want to forget that I have this thing up and recording. But hopefully you enjoyed this ride with me to Kansas City, or in Kansas City area. And give me a like, follow, subscribe. See you later. Peace.